Welcome to another edition of King's Corner. I'm Kerry, assistant coach for the King Heights Academy U18 team. And I'll tell you what, I've got an extra special guest today. We've got number 27, Lukah. He will be talking everything about ice hockey, where he came from, why we call it ice hockey. And at the end, we're going to have a little bit of fun because you know where he's from. We've got some really fun slang words. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, put your hands together. Lukah, number 27. Hey, Lukah, how you doing?
Hey, Kerry, how's it going?
I am fantastic. Obviously, we're going to have a little bit of a discussion here, talking a little bit about Kings Heights Academy, the U18 team, where you're from, why you're here, and how exciting it is to leave your home country and come to arguably, and we'll see that in the Olympics, the hockey mecca of the world. Lukah, first off, thank you for joining us. Talk to me a little bit about where you're from.
So I'm from Melbourne, Australia. I just moved down in Toronto, Canada about 5.5 months ago, 6 months ago to continue my schooling and come to King Heights and play hockey here.
Well, we're so lucky that you joined us. Obviously, there's a connection, me being the head coach of the Melbourne Ice and watching you come up through the juniors. We're really excited about you as a hockey player. And we're really excited that you've taken this move thousands and thousands of miles away. Your parents, of course, had to be a big decision maker of this. When they gave you this opportunity, were you excited? Were you saying, oh my God, this is the greatest thing that ever happened? Or were you a little bit reserved at first saying, wow, should I do this?
I mean, obviously there's a lot of emotions happening at once, but I think the main one was excitement. Being able to play the sport you love and go to school every day, play hockey, go to school, play hockey. It's great. Yeah.
Well, and of course, I've got to meet your wonderful parents and your brother Sammy. What a great kid he is. Of course, I know how much he cares and loves and misses you. They're coming soon, so that's going to be really exciting for you. But obviously, you've traveled thousands and thousands of miles away for your dream. It's wonderful that your parents have given you this opportunity, but more importantly, what is your dream? And how did you make that really tough decision at 15, now 16, leaving your home and coming and doing what you're doing here for us?
Yeah, I mean, every young kid's dream is to, play in NHL, all that kind of stuff. But making that decision, young, it's pretty tough, no matter how exciting it can be. But, the decision got made, and so far it's really paying off. It's great, development's great, school's great, my billet family's great, everything's going really well. So yeah.
Well, I'm part of the billet family. We want to do a shout out to Tony, of course, and all the great food that she cooks. Now there's some changes. Of course, there's a transition leaving home and coming here and not having Vegemite and now having to eat peanut butter. We'll talk about that in a second. Tell me that commitment. It is a huge commitment, not only on your parents' side, but also on you as a player and as a person who wants to further their education. You had an opportunity, obviously, meeting me, and I helped kind of tell you what it was all about. But you ultimately made the decision. Tell me about that huge commitment of knowing that for the next 8 months, you're going to be away from your family, you're not going to be around your friends, and you're going to be around other hockey players who have the same goals and dreams that you have.
Yeah, I mean, when you're really committed to a sport, like, I'd say I am, the decision isn't as tough. I mean, obviously everything's hard, leaving friends and family back home so far away. But when you do something you love, it's kind of, you just kind of surround your whole life. Your whole life becomes what you do. So it's kind of like a job, but, you love it a lot. So, yeah.
Hey, Luke, are you sure you're 16? I'm going to have to check your such a mature and articulate answer. Education is an important aspect, of course, and you changing schools, of course, having to go from education in Australia to Canada. We know at the beginning it's kind of a tough transition as we started to get to know each other. The school got to know you, the players got to know you. That transition from your school there to your school now. Can you tell us what the big deal is all about?
I mean, schooling here is great. I'm really loving the system. You get to wake up, go to school, do your education, and it's got a great mix of hockey at the end of the day, every single day. So, you go to your classes in the morning, get a snack break, do your other classes, and you're straight into hockey. So for me, that's a great balance, and I think for a lot of other students, that's also a good balance. So yeah.
Well, talking about a bunch of other students right next door, there's a window to the studio, and I've got a bunch of the KHA players looking and waving and understanding that you're on the air. So they're trying to bug us, but they can't bug us because we are stoned focused on education. Did you feel a transition? Did you say, wow, this is more difficult, it's easier, or it's just different?
I don't think the education was, a big major difference. Just, obviously new school, getting integrated with, new teachers, relationships, making new friends and everything. That's, for me, that's probably the hardest part, just getting to know new people. But, the education part isn't too tough.
All right. Well, we'll move into the sports now. Obviously, being in a school that's connected right next door to the rink, you're in classroom. You then leave the classroom. You can go and work out at a facility here. Everything's in one spot. Then you just walk across the hallway and you're in your facility. You've got your own dressing room. It's fully operational for everything hockey. How's that compared to, being back in Australia? Your parents would have to drive you here or there, maybe an hour to a rink. Then you'd have to come back home in the morning, go to school, then they pick you back up and drive you to another rink to play. How easy and how accessible is it for you now, looking back at what your parents had to do for you while you were in Australia?
Yeah, I mean, coming here and seeing how easy it is, just 2-minute walk from my classroom to my locker room. I'm really blessed to have that, and it really makes me appreciate how much my parents did for me. Getting up at 5 a.m. in the morning, taking me to skates and everything. It's just it's a big eye opener. So yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about hockey then. Obviously, we know that Canada is one of those countries that everybody wants to be a part of when it comes to ice hockey. We know that if I wanted to be an AFL, an Aussie rural football player, I wouldn't stay here in Canada. I would source the country that's the best at it. And of course, Melbourne is, along with Australia. So you knew that your dream was to come over to Canada, like many, Joey Hughes did it, Liam Webster did it, some of our famous Melbourne Ice players, of Jed Lake, Toby Gilchrist, all these players have come over here. But the biggest name, of course, is Nathan Walker, where he left Australia early and went over to KHA and honed his skills. And you're doing that exact same thing. Tell me the difference, whether good or bad, the difference of being in Australia, coming to Canada, and having the exposure that you do now with 5 times a week on the ice, 2 to 3 games a week, whereas back in Australia, the infrastructure is not there to allow you to do that, and your parents had to drive for hours and hours, giving up a huge commitment. Tell me what that's like.
Obviously training 5 times a week and getting the exposure in these high level leagues like I do, you really develop a lot, which is, it's the reason I'm here, to develop and get better and, get exposed to these other teams, other clubs, other scouts and coaches. That's the reason. But yeah, going from training 2, maybe sometimes 3 times a week to having a game every so often, it's a big jump, but it was the jump I was willing to take, and it was worth every minute of it.
Well, we know that that's probably your agent calling right now to find out what NHL team you're going to go to. Obviously, it takes a family to put you here, not only your own family, your extended family with myself and, of course, Tony, George, and Miss Kay up front. Obviously, Elsa and Dave, who put this school together that allows us to do what we do. Dan Catanacci is coach, your coach. We'll talk about that in a second. All of these things help you to develop into not only a very good ice hockey player, but also a very good student, and at the end, a very good person. Talk to me about the relationship between school and now sport for you. You come from here, you do your education, you come over, you've got full access to everything ice hockey related. Tell me how that feels and how that difference that is what you had back home in Australia.
Yeah, I think, I love my teachers, my principal. They're very supportive, and they understand. Any hardships there is with sports, they can understand it can be tiring. Sometimes if I've got an assignment due and I've got a game, I've got an extra training, they understand that. They give me an extra day and a half or 2 days to finish it. So I'm really grateful to have teachers who are understanding like that, and a great principal as well. Obviously the owners as well, they've been great to me. They've understanding everything. So
Yep.
really grateful for that.
Well, fantastic. Back to hockey, of course, you mentioned that you've had the opportunity to experience ice hockey at its best. You've been to some NHL games. You've been to some, obviously, Ontario Hockey League games with the Brampton Steelheads, meeting a guy like James Richmond, a valuable person in this industry. Jim Thompson, being with the OJHL, with the obviously the Aurora Tigers. You've seen a bunch of those games. That obviously is a big advantage for you too. Not just being able to watch TV, sport on TV or the NHL on TV. You actually get to live it live, and you get to meet some of these people that can give you advice. How big of an advantage do you think that is for you to be here versus being at home back in Australia?
Yeah, I mean, being able to get opportunities and meet these different coaches and watch these games, OJHL, high level junior players, it shows the next step you have to take if you want to get there. All the work you have to put in, things you have to do. It just kind of, it's like a stepping stone, just the next stepping stone on the path.
Well, of course, now we have to talk about the differences of being in in a team of players that are, 16. When you got here, you were 15. Now you're 16. You're playing with guys that are 16, 17, 18. You're playing against guys that are that same age category. We've had a bunch of games where we played a lot of teams that are older, that's 17, 18. What has that been for your experience? We know that we got out of the chute a little bit tough, but now you can see the team is growing. And you've been a big part of that. You've got great teammates. We'll talk about that in a second. But what's that transition of being going from just playing in a maybe a 15-year-old age category? Now you're playing against guys that are all the way up to the age of 18.
Yeah, I think it's a big advantage, getting that jump start, playing from a younger age, 15, 16, playing in a high level U18 league. It kind of it can be tough sometimes, but it really gives you a good push and a good challenge. That's how you develop the best. You don't get better playing against guys who are worse than you. You get better against playing guys who are better than you. So, yeah.
Okay, and so final part on the actual organizations. You play in the CSSHL, and then of course the OPHL. Back home, the level is, I would say, a little less than what you have here, but it's growing. Ice hockey in Australia is growing. We've seen that with the Melbourne Ice and the AIHL and all the great things. Ice Hockey Victoria is a very well-run organization that's really helping develop, and this will allow you to go back after your NHL career and I get free tickets. It'll allow you to go back home and help those other ones, other players who have the same aspirations. You'll be able to speak to them and say, this is my experience, and this is how, if you follow this pathway, you'll have a better chance. Tell me about the difference of playing in the CSSHL and the leagues you played back at home.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big difference. The skill levels, obviously, one of the biggest factors. Physicality, just everything's on a completely different level here. Back home didn't, it wasn't, obviously it was what I had, but coming here, playing my first game, these kids, 6'3", 6'4", and they've got hands like McDavid. It's crazy, but that's what you got to play against if you want to make the next level. So.
All right, let's talk a little bit about your coaching staff. Of course, I'm on it, so you don't have to tell me how great I am. But certainly Dan Catanacci played in the NHL, Buffalo Sabres, very knowledgeable. He's there one-on-one. Tell me about the experience of going from a coach like that. Listen, you've had some great coaches, Joey Hughes, Warren Porter. There's been some great guys over there. Of course, Ian Webster's somebody that I'm sure you look up to. Tell me about the level of coach that you have who can give you those tips that help you understand the game at a higher pace.
Yeah, I mean, coaches I had before, there were a lot of them were some of the best in the country. But coming here, and I know Dan's a bit of a new coach, but playing in the leagues he played in, OHL, NHL, Europe, different countries, he's just got so much experience and so much knowledge that he can share with the whole team and myself as well. So, coming to him with any questions or whatever I want to, ask from him, it's like he's got everything. So it's great to have a coach like that.
Hey, talk to me about obviously being in Melbourne. I heard it was like 35 above the other day, and now you're here in Toronto, and obviously living the life of a I guess an Eskimo with all the snow that we've had. What's that been like? Obviously, coming from a warm country to a country that we were at one night, I think it was -40. We had 4 feet of snow. How cool was that? How cool was it to be right in the middle of all that?
It's great. It's just a fun experience. I can't wait for my family to come down and experience it for themselves as well. But I was never much of a heat guy anyway. I'm kind of grateful for the -20 days, but yeah.
Well, and I know you came over and helped pave, get rid of all the snow on my father-in-law. We had so much fun. You guys jumping in, Liam and of course, Arel and Niels, just having a blast in the snow, something that I know Sammy and your parents are really going to look forward to. All right, in closing, let's talk a little bit about your teammates. It's always difficult going from one organization to another, but it's also the cultural experience, the change of what is now and what is normal to what is present and what is in the future. And that's got to be a little bit a difficult time for anybody, especially a young man leaving his house and his parents. But you've handled it eloquently and very efficiently. Talk to me about the change in culture and your teammates.
I think it's really cool. Obviously it's kind of like school, moving to a different team. You got to meet new people, new teachers, all this stuff. But once you get into it, once you make some more friends and you get to know everyone, it's fun. It's like a second family, second home.
Well, I'll tell you what, you've been well received here. You have done nothing but show Canadians that like ice hockey in Australia is alive. Obviously, you've got teammates Liam and Nicholas who are also from Melbourne. If you could tell me on the final part of the city, with like Melbourne and Toronto, do you see any similarities, or are they so vastly different?
Oh yeah, there's definitely a lot of similarities. I think definitely in the city. I never really got homesick, but kind of walking through the city downtown, driving by, it's really, really similar. Kind of gives you a kind of thing of home. So that's nice.
Well, obviously driving in both countries, in Melbourne and in Toronto, there is a difference. You're on the other side of the street. And of course, I'm your driver. I'm your Goober driver. Are you nervous when you're driving on the other side of the road?
Definitely had to get used to it when I first got here. Used to look this way then that way when I'm crossing. Now I got to look the other way. So, but I'm used to it now. It's pretty normal to me.
I know you're only nervous when Tony's driving. And think about it. Liam's he will get his driver's license. So I'll stay off the road when that all happens. Listen, final thing is I've got some slang words. Obviously, I've been to Australia. I know what it's all about. Everything there is trying to kill you, bite you, eat you, strangle you. You got these spiders, you got snakes, you got these blue belly, what are they, jellyfish trying to bite you and all that sort of stuff. But it's not quite that bad. And I think you brought it up. All those things, the sharks and all those things are trying to get you. But it's not really that's going to hurt you as a tourist. It's because you're looking the wrong way and you get hit by, I don't know, a bicycle. So there are some differences. And here's some differences. I'm going to ask you some questions, okay? And you tell me what these words mean. Because I've been working at them, trying to understand. This is the slang between Australians and, of course, us Canadians. All right.
Hi.
Arvo.
Afternoon.
Put another shrimp on the barbie.
Barbecue.
Where does that phrase come from?
I don't know the movie. I know the scene. Pretty sure it was Jim Carrey, but
no, it was what's his? Oh my God, it skipped me too. I'll come back to that one. All right, hey, brekkie.
Breakfast.
What's your favorite breakfast place?
Say Macca's,
How about
McDonald's.
how about Tim Hortons? Oh, you forgot about that one.
Tim
Hey, what
Hortons.
about what is Macca's? Hey, let's go Macca's. Like who would I would have no idea where to go.
I mean, McDonald's. Everyone says Macca's. So
Nobody
much.
says McDonald's.
No,
Hey, and then when we go to Burger King here, you must be confused because it's not Burger King there.
it's Hungry Jack's.
Hungry Jacks. Final one is you've seen me in this many times when I'm by the pool. Bungee smugglers.
Oh, pretty much a man bikini.
Oh boy, you don't want to see that. Hey, listen, Lukah, you have been absolutely fantastic. You answered the questions very well. And of course, I'm really impressed how articulate you are, how you're forthright and not nervous at all. You are going to have not only a great career in ice hockey, you're going to be I think you're going to become a politician. That's what I got. I got a feeling you're a politician.
I don't think so, but whatever happens, happens.
You got it. Ladies and gentlemen, number 27, Lukah Check. Wow, what a smart young man. And I'll tell you what, I've had the honor to actually have seen him play, and you will be watching him, not only in Canada, but certainly in the future, playing not only for the Melbourne Ice, but most importantly, Team Australia. Thank you for joining us. King Heights.